Hello and welcome to another episode of the Course Creators Podcast. My name's Sarah Cordiner, your host today, and I am so excited to be talking to you today about video creation. And not just any old video creation. Back in the day, we had to have these big fancy studios, we had to have all the fancy lighting, the green screens, the dude behind the camera, and all the expensive stuff. Now, we can actually make quality videos, as you know, from your own home. I'm always telling people that you do not need equipment to hold you back from making a difference, making an impact, and sharing what you know with the world in not just a way that's going to help them, but also is going to help you, help your brand, and of course, your bottom line. Now, I have a wonderful expert in this field with me today, and I'm so excited. A fellow friend from Australia who now lives all the way on the other side of the world in California, Cielo De La Paz. It's absolutely amazing to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. It's really exciting to connect with you today.
Amazing. So, tell us a little bit about your background, your past, and how you kind of got into this space of being, a top expert in this space of video creation.
So I got into this because I was featured on the Shot on iPhone billboard campaign from, when they first started those billboards. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they had billboards advertising the iPhone, and they also had commercials. So my work was featured, as billboard as well as commercials. So that's kind of how it started off.
Love it. Now, Cielo, I know that you also do a little bit of work with Stanford as well. Is that right?
Yes, right now I do teach iPhone filmmaking at Stanford, and I teach it for large organizations. So I have clients like L'Oreal, Citibank, and so on that I go to them, and then I teach them marketing. It's usually their marketing groups, how to use the iPhone for video.
Love it. So I told you we had an absolute pro on today. This is absolutely incredible. Talk about getting an amazing tutorial from us today. Now, what's really cool is, when we're talking about going into, we're going on camera, we're going out there in the big wide world to share our knowledge and expertise. As educators, we do have to be a little bit spontaneous. We do have to be able to read the room, read the floor, and we do have to adapt our teaching style and who we're being and what we're teaching and how we're teaching it based on what's in front of us. Now, of course, going on camera, that's really, really different. We've got to look down the lens. And today, we've done this quite spectacularly. We just actually had quite a laugh getting on this call today because I just thought I had an appointment with Cielo. Both of us and there was nothing about who was interviewing who or who was doing what. So we've had a right giggle working out who's interviewing who. So we're going to actually just totally a chat today and put this on both of our podcasts, which is going to be incredible.
Yes.
Hello.
So we're interviewing each other.
So good. And so talking of this spontaneity, Cielo, I know you're going to give us some tips today on what should course creators do when it comes to kind of looking at this camera. But for you, I always see this debate going on in my Facebook groups and stuff about how spontaneous should we be? Because, when we're teaching at classroom, it's a really big part of how we teach. We rely on our innate knowledge. We rely on that knowledge, that skill set that we have, and off we jump into a classroom. And yes, we have a lesson plan or we have a rough idea of what we're going to cover, but it always changes because of the energy in the room. How strict are you about, should it be absolutely scripted? Should there be a set plan? Or, are you more of a go with the flow kind of person? Or what do you advise new course creators who look at that camera and just go, where do I begin?
Yeah, I think I'm more of an in-between kind of person. So I don't believe in being absolutely scripted. One, because it's stressful. Who's going to remember what to say when? So I don't believe in that. And it also comes off as not authentic. So you want to speak like you would normally speak and not be super stiff. But at the same time, you don't want to be rambling. You want to get to the point. You want to follow an outline so that whoever's listening to you is following you and you're not just randomly saying things. So I think having an outline, but not necessarily having it scripted out, is the best way to go. And people assume that it's going to be one take, but for me, especially, usually it's the third take. It's like, okay, I finally kind of got the ums and, the stumbling over my words out. And then by the third take, I've said it the way I want to say it.
Yeah, amazing. And have you ever done those ones when you're doing your practice round and you absolutely nailed it, but didn't press record because you're like, I'm just doing a
Oh
practice.
I've done
Those practice rounds.
that.
It's got to be done. I'm quite the same. You know, I'm quite the same as you. I think it's really important that when it comes to course creation, especially,
Mm-hmm.
you need to know what you're going to cover. You need to make sure that what you're covering
Yeah.
questions that your audience are asking, right? Because if your course doesn't answer those questions, no one's going to be interested in buying it. But
Right.
I always focus on the question, because you know the answer, you know how to
Mm-hmm.
share it in your own unique way. You're sharing your way of doing it, your way of seeing it,
Right.
your approach to that particular thing. And yeah, I don't
Yeah.
to be scripted, because you know, however old you are, that's how long you've been doing your thing for, and it's just
Right. Exactly.
yeah, it's just natural, isn't it, to just share it how you see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, especially if you're using video for your online course, for example, right? You're recording each module. There are course creators out there who do it absolutely perfectly, and they're reading off of a teleprompter, and for me, I feel like it feels a little bit less connected, and it doesn't feel like a real classroom, because when you're teaching in a real live classroom, you're kind of just explaining it in your own way, or not, you're not reading off of a script or a teleprompter, and it's a little bit more loose. So I think it's a lot more genuine and authentic to just record your class and just be at, as if there were students in front of you.
Yeah, I think for those people who are just starting out, sometimes for them, getting over that sort of physical, biological, physiological effect that kind of happens in your body when you're looking at a camera lens, that you go for that initial fear.
Yeah.
It maybe like the whole reading bit is cool for you to just get your body physiologically comfortable in front of that camera.
Yes.
So you certainly
Yes.
when you're just getting used to that experience, but when your body realizes, that you're not going to die, you're not actually. Yeah, I think it's like we just have to remind ourselves that we are just talking to people. And yeah, you wouldn't go to the front of a classroom and just read at your class all day. Like, you'd never do that.
I know.
So why
Yeah.
do we feel we have on camera? And we put ourselves under way too much pressure to be this like perfect newsreader or something when we're looking down a lens. It's crazy.
I know. And it does take a little bit of practice. I know for me, it took a while. I here's what I did to get over the whole camera thing. Even with the iPhone, it can be a little bit intimidating. I taped a photo of my best friend behind my phone, just so it's like, okay, I'm just talking to friendly people here, and just to remind me, it's not, they're just normal people behind the camera, so don't be so afraid.
That's such a nice strategy. So let's talk about these phones then, because I'm constantly trying to tell people that you don't need all the fancy stuff to do really, really quality videos today. So if you were going to give us a couple of tips, your top tips here for creating great video using your phone, hit us with them. What do we need to know?
So one is, people forget about the audio. Everyone's so focused on the resolution and how good it's going to look, but actually what makes a really good video is good audio. So if you're going to use this video for your brand, or to promote yourself or your course, for example, you have to nail the audio, and you need to get a mic. And it doesn't have to be an expensive mic. It could be a $20, one of those lavalier mics that you just kind of clip on and you connect via wire to your phone. Just even upgrading with that, it elevates your video to a whole nother level. So definitely get a mic, I would say, is the first thing you need to do.
When I first started course creating, so many years ago, these things were so expensive. Like, I remember having to, the cheapest one I could find was about $500. I recently bought one of those lapel microphones that connect to my phone. It was 21 Australian dollars on Amazon.
Yeah.
I mean, surely we can all give up a coffee for a week and go and get ourselves one of those.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, that's it. That's all you need. And people assume it's going to be a lot, especially these days. It really doesn't take much to have quality video.
Yeah, great. Okay, so we've got this course idea. We're going to sit down and do some filming. We've got our phone and we've got ourselves our mic. What's the next absolute must with this video recording with our phones?
So I would have to say, nail your exposure. And with the iPhone, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the part that you want your video to be exposed for, you just tap on that and you just if you tap and hold, so this, I'm talking if you're using the iPhone and the camera app that comes with your phone, so not even another app, but you can adjust the exposure. And I think if you do that plus the microphone, then you're halfway there.
Well, even I didn't know that. Well, I've got myself a Samsung here, so I might even open that up and see if I can do that on my phone. So if I was to take a picture of you right here now, just open the exposure, hold it down. Hey, it actually does it on a Samsung too. I didn't.
Yeah, it's pretty universal. Even on a Pixel, it's the same kind of thing. You just tap on the area that you want it to expose for,
Yeah.
and then that will automatically adjust.
And it opens up your options too for sort of zooming in and everything else. It's just very cool. Here we go. I'm just taking pictures there. Lovely. It works. All right. So we've got some lighting and exposure. And look, some of my favorite tips for lighting and exposure is making sure that you are sat by a window. So actually, for those of you
Yes.
the video version of this episode today, I've got a window right in front of me. It's just natural daylight pouring in on my face. And normally I have some lighting on if it's a bit of a darker day. But one of my favorite things I ever got, Cielo, was this selfie ring light. Yeah, you've guys
Ring light. Yes, I have one of those. Yes, those are great.
they're amazing. So a selfie ring light, guys, it holds your phone. It's got this little ring that it's got a switch that turns the light on, lights up your face beautifully. It's mobile, so if you're going out and about,
does.
where you are, perfect lighting. Your audience can see into your eyes. That's the ultimate connection. And
Yes, that is my favorite light.
it's so good. $50 online. Just go onto eBay or Amazon, type in selfie ring light. You'll be blown away with the quality you can get for so cheap today. I love it.
Yes, I know. It's amazing. I think, even 5 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to do these things so inexpensively.
Yeah, no, I remember having to go out and honestly, like my first film set, my film kit that I bought, it set me back over $5,000 because you had to have the proper camera at 4K. All these big backdrops and everything. It was an absolute mission just to film any video. Like I remember also booking the hairdressers and getting all my makeup done. Now I sit on my I don't look completely and utterly scrabbled and just share your just teach, just share, just give. I mean, it's
yeah, I think that's what it is that you don't have these days, especially now everybody knows how to use Zoom and everybody's kind of used to the Zoom kind of conference call. It's even more casual than before where there's no expectation for you to have amazing lighting, this huge backdrop. It's fine to just teach, yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. All right, so we've kind of got some of those working. What's another top tip for getting these videos right on phones?
So I think outline, I mean, it's not that different from an online course. I think you have to have your points kind of nailed. So one is first, I mean, it's kind of like, any presentation. So I'm sure you've taught people the best way to present a course is, tell them where you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you just told them. So that's kind of it's more focusing on the content now, once you've figured out the lighting and the audio and the exposure, it's really focusing on the content.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for me, my biggest advice is a bit of a repetition of what I've just said is making sure that what that content is exactly what your audience are asking for. Going into the various Google keyword search engines and finding out what are the top questions that your audience are typing into Google right now. Your job as an educator, as an influencer, as a brand person who stands out in your industry is to simply have the most up-to-date answers to the most top questions. That's it. It's what we're doing.
I think that's really good advice. And I'd love to ask you, because I have my way of finding out what are the top questions that people are asking about my particular niche. What are some of the things that you tell new course creators? How do they find that out?
Yeah, well, so as a specialist qualified course creation professional, there are a number of different ways that you would go about curriculum design, depending on the type of topic that you're teaching, whether it's accredited training or non-accredited training. But let's assume here we're talking to the everyday entrepreneur who has an area of expertise in some area, and you want to be providing really valuable content to your audience in the public space in a non-accredited training course. What you want to start with is, are people talking about your topic? Are they asking questions about it? And is it trending? So the first thing I always get people to do is go and look at Google Trends. Like, Google Trends is completely free. Type in Google Trends, whack your keyword for your area of expertise in there, change the area to worldwide, so you get the whole world sort of search terms coming up, and change the period of time from 2004 until present, because that's when Google started collecting data. And what that will do is when you hit enter, it will bring up a chart for you that will show whether people are typing that word in more or less than they ever have. And that gives you a really good idea as to whether your topic or that keyword in particular is it's going up or going down. Market demand. Are people even going to buy this course before you even start it?
Right.
Anything, what I found is for people who've had their search results come up where the line goes down, it's a downward trend. It's actually usually just the word that they're using that's wrong. So this is the difference between people going to a course and actually the content was freaking amazing, but it didn't sell because they used one word in the title and their audience were typing in a completely different word for the exact same thing. As an example, I was using the word training and curriculum design. Now, that worked about 10 years ago. Today,
right.
Now people use the word online course. So if I hadn't with what my audience were typing in, I would now have an absolutely zero failed business rather than a 7-figure business.
Right.
That's the complete difference. So that's one, is checking the words. Another thing I love to do is go, well, what are they asking? What are the questions? If you have a blog article or a YouTube video or an online course that has the title of it is the exact question that they're typing into Google, Google simply calls it, finds the exact matches and chucks the exact matches in those first pages. That's why I'm like, it's all about SEO. But so I like loads of sites. One of my favorites in the world is answerthepublic.com. It is amazing. It's so much fun.
I don't know about that one.
Oh my God, you're going to love it. Right? All of my fellow geeks listening to this right now, right, go and get your geek on with this. You're going to absolutely love it. So all you do is you go onto answerthepublic.com, you type in your keyword, again, change it to worldwide, and it will actually bring up the most asked questions in that area. It's incredible. So it will have what, where, how. And all you simply got to do is you're allowed to download it as a CSV file for free. So I download that CSV file of the actual questions that are most being asked in the world right now. And I just go, which ones can I answer? Pick up my phone, film the answer to that question, chuck it in my online courses, or upload it on YouTube, or make a blog article for it, or live stream. Boom. You come up in all the
That is awesome. That is amazing. Okay, now I have one secret one that I use from my YouTube videos, but this might be just as good because mine isn't, well, actually it is free to a certain extent. So the one I like to use, this is very specific to YouTube videos, which is, as we know, YouTube is the second largest search engine, right, next to Google, but for videos. Anyhow, so the site is called Morningfame. So it's morningfa.me. And this is where you can research how often and how popular a certain, it's basically the same thing. You're typing in what you think your audience is typing in. And we all know YouTube, people go there to find solutions, right? So that's kind of how I find my content. So even before I make my videos, I want to make sure it's something that people are looking for. So I will hop onto Morningfame and I will type it in, and then I will also tweak the keywords that I use so that it exactly matches what people are looking for. And so that immediately, and I know my video is going to do well because I did that research beforehand.
Yeah, amazing. All the gold nuggets. See, you just got to come onto this. Loving it. So cool. So yeah, I mean, I think these are really key things. And you know what, sometimes there's really simple tricks that I think sometimes, experienced course creators forget to overlook if you're new. Landscape instead of portrait, orientation of that camera.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yes. Landscape, not portrait. You don't want those horrible big black lines down either side of your video when you pop them onto somewhere like YouTube where it's landscape.
Yeah.
When I see making.
Yeah, I like to say is know the platform where you're going to put it And like the worst thing you can do is mix it. So if you're going to do landscape, just do everything landscape and put it onto Instagram stories or Instagram feed. But don't mix and match your landscape, and because it just looks odd when you're finally editing it together. But yeah, I agree. It's like most of the time, especially if you're going to do it for your course, if you're going to do it for YouTube, make sure you do it in landscape mode.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, while we're talking mistakes, another one that I see a lot, and it's so tempting, and I know it's so hard to do, it takes so much practice, is looking at the lens instead of the actual video of yourself. Yeah, I see so many people do it. They're talking to themselves on the camera, but to the viewer, they're looking away from the lens, and it feels so disconnected. It's an absolute please look into the lens. I've seen you mentioning you put a picture of your friend behind the camera. I've got a lot of clients who will get a post-it note and put a big arrow on it pointing to the lens.
Oh, just say, look here.
Look here.
I know it's and if you are filming with your phone, to prevent that from happening, so if it's hard for you to look at the lens rather than yourself, I actually, unless you have the latest iPhone, it's actually better to use your back cameras rather than the front camera, just because the quality is a lot better in general. So most phones, the back cameras are better. So if you can turn it around, that way you have nothing else to look at but the lens, and that'll solve that particular problem.
Love it. What other mistakes do you see people making when they're making videos?
I think it's making it too long. So our attention span is it's really short, especially it depends on where you're posting things. So what I always say is, yes, say what you need to say, but you do need to edit your videos. Unless it's a live video, most people aren't willing to put up with, you rambling, and a lot of times you do have to edit. So I think it's kind of being precise and people not editing, and they just kind of, throw onto Facebook a 30-minute video, and it's like nobody's going to go through that. Edit it. And there are some great apps on the phone right now that you can use to edit your video.
Love it. And yeah, this is definitely something that I always say as well, really in support of that tip, is that you're there to answer questions. So one video is one tip. One video is the answer to one single question. And I know that every question that's asked in the world, we could go into that in more and more and more and more depth and make it last. Look at the old face-to-face teaching days. We'd run a whole session for 8 hours on one topic, right? So we know how much.
Oh my goodness, I know.
But everything can be explained in 10 minutes too. There's the surface level explanation of everything. We could go, what is electricity? Oh, it's the thing that makes the light work. Boom. Right? Yeah. There's the answer to that question. Or we could go into a 12-month-long science program and talk about the actual functionality and science behind how electricity works. There is the short answer and the long answer to everything. I have a lot of people say to me, but Sarah, I can't do my video in 10 minutes because my topic needs a lot more explanation than that.
Right.
Guys, every topic has the short answer and the long answer. You need to let go of being, of having to make these videos like half an hour to an hour long. They really don't need to be.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's learning what your audience really needs to, like you said, you don't need to go that deep, although you want to, but your audience really doesn't need you to go that deep.
Yeah, amazing.
I did have one more thing that I would love to say that I forget, and this is one big mistake that people make, is when you are filming with your phone, make sure that you can't get phone calls as you're filming.
Yes.
There's nothing worse. So put your phone into flight mode, or, whatever, do not disturb, whatever mode, so that you can't get phone calls or texts even, because, it'll ding as you're recording. So I think that's one good one.
I had such an epic fail with that happening to me once. I was in I'd just done this most amazing video. And when you've done one and you've nailed it and you're so proud of yourself, and inside you're like, yes, this is coming out so good. And my particular phone, if the phone rings when I'm doing a video, it literally stops the video and it's gone. It doesn't stop it.
Oh no.
I was so upset, my God. So yes, I learned the hard way. Flight mode. And most of the phones now got that do not disturb button, which
right.
sometimes if you put it on flight mode, you don't have access to the internet, and some people are Bluetoothing their video to their camera their computers at the same time. So if you do need your Wi-Fi on, like at least put your do not disturb on. Yes.
Disturb. Right. Exactly.
Gosh, I wish
That's
someone had
good.
told me that when I first started with my phone. Oh man. Well, so many
I still make that mistake, which is funny.
yeah, it all happens to all of us. All right, so let's go for like a final tip. We're talking to experts here who want to make sure that they are getting themselves out there to stand out as a leader, to be seen as, the expert in their field. They want to make a difference. They want to help people. They want to be seen. They want to be found in their communities. Can you give us sort of any final tips on what you advise your audience in this space to get out there, to be seen, to be found, and to do that in a really impactful way?
Yeah, I think first of all, just realize there's only one of you, and you do need to stand out with who you are. Don't try to be somebody else. And I think a lot of the times we hide who we are because we feel like we have to be professional, we can't be goofy, we can't laugh that silly laugh that we have. But that's what makes you endearing. That's what's going to make you stand out. So the more you can be, the better off you'll stand out. That's what you want to do, is stand out. And then I think the other thing is the first few seconds of a video are super important, no matter where you're posting it. So make those first few seconds, kind of really get somebody's attention. So if you can get away from just doing a talking head, which is kind of what everybody does, if you can do something a little bit different, even if you're just outside filming, you can do something that sparks curiosity in the first few seconds, then that will really get people to keep watching. And then you deliver the content that you want to deliver in a short amount of time as possible. So I think that's probably what I can say is try to be as you, and try to stand out, try to be a little bit different from everybody else.
Love it. I could not agree more. I think so many people are so worried that they've got to say a certain thing, know certain theories, be like somebody else. And for me, very similar thing is that we all do our own thing in our own way. And I see a lot of people who really want to go out into this space, but they suddenly get bashed around the head by this sense of imposter syndrome. Like, you're not good enough.
Yeah,
no, people are going to troll you.
I know.
Like this fear of not being good enough for the world. And I always say, do you know what, you're not coming out there to say what everyone else is saying. I always say to people, to help get over that imposter syndrome, you just have to go, this is how I do this. This is my strategy. This is a method that I've implemented that I've seen work well. No one can sort of bring you down for your own strategy. And I think that's really powerful. You go out there and you own your way. If it's worked for you, if it's worked for people that you've helped, that is your validation that your message.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it. I always say, go out there unapologetically, go out there with confidence and say, this is what I've done for me, and now I'm sharing that with other people. I'm now sharing what I did and how I did it with other people, because that's all they want to know. Not everyone is your customer. Not everyone is going to click with you. Some people might absolutely hate me and love Cielo, and vice versa, even if we're saying the exact same words.
Exact same thing, right? Isn't that funny? Yeah. I mean, you will resonate with the people who really need to hear you and who will want to learn from you. And from everybody else, you can't. Yeah, exactly. I love that. You can't impress everybody, and you're not for everyone. No one is.
It's so true, isn't it? And that, I think that's as well, we kind of have to stop comparing ourselves to other people, which is another thing that gets that imposter syndrome in, and go, if there's 20 of us all lined up delivering the exact same message, the exact same course, the exact same script, and wearing the exact same clothes, people are still going to choose who it is that they click with and don't click with. And the best way you can enable people to make that decision as fast as possible is by putting yourself out there on video, showing people who you are, letting them experience who you are, so that they can go, oh, I really like them. I click with them. I like that person's style. I like their character. I like their energy, or I want to be like them too. That's the only way I think we can really attract our audience. So video is the way to go. For sure.
Absolutely. If you haven't tried it, you need to.
I love it. And on that note, Cielo, is there any sort of free gift or anything that you can give anyone today?
Well, I do have an opt-in where it tells you my favorite. It's my iPhone video toolkit. So it's unfortunately for iPhone only, but it's my favorite gear and the ones that I recommend to just quickly get you started. So that is on my website.
Amazing. And Cielo is going to give us a link so that can go in the show notes below. And if you want to create your very own profitable online course, you can also come on over and get my free course creation starter kit, which takes you through my 10 steps to creating a profitable and engaging online course. And you can grab that at sarahcordiner.com/starter kit. It's completely free and it will get you kickstarted on creating that online course. Cielo, it was so amazing to have you today.
It was great. It was great chatting with you.
And I love how spontaneous this was, considering 25 minutes ago we had no idea who was interviewing who. That's it, right?
So funny. Yes.
It just goes to show, guys, you know what? Having some planning down is really, really great, but sometimes it's totally okay to be spontaneous. This works.
Absolutely.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, it was great. It was good.
And so go down to the show notes below. You will find both of our links to follow us, contact us, and stay in touch. Otherwise, it was lovely to meet you all.
It was lovely to chat with you.
Good luck creating your videos. Good luck going out there and sharing with the world. And you know where we both are if you ever need some help.